have you here. I'm so pleased to have Krista with me today. I'm really excited for this conversation. Krista has been working as a breath worker since 2000, way before it became really, really popular. And with her shamanic path beginning in her early childhood, I'm really, really keen to interview her and how she discovered all these gifts that she brings to the world. She has many different modalities that she works with people with, as well as doing cold water rebirthing, firewalk experiences, and stress resilience and mental strength training. So I'm super excited to dive into that as well, because these are tools in my mind for modern lifestyle that you just need to know and need to see the triggers of when you want to use these to support your life. So Krista, I'm super excited to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Brilliant. So when looking at your biography, what I can see is that even as child, you already had some insights that you might see the world differently, or a different part of our reality than most people do. Do you want to talk a little bit of how you actually discovered that there's more to reality that most of us can see?
Yes, actually, really consciously, I discovered it quite late. It was 2003 when I
Hmm.
went to Germany to a therapist who was also a shaman, which I didn't know. And she was the one telling me, that's your path. This is the path you have to go to walk. And then I realized that actually, as a child, I already had this. Yeah, I saw things, I felt things, I knew things all of a sudden where I didn't know from where. From my history, it's quite natural because my father died 1 month before I was born. And the other world, or the so called other world, was was the world where I could meet him, where I could connect to him. So the belief that after death there is something, there is another world, was always there. And also in my mother's family, it was natural that there was something. So I grew up with so called ghost stories or stories of a great grandmother meeting her sister in the moment she died, and all these things. So somehow it was natural in my family.
Yeah.
And
And when you say you, you were meeting your dad, do you mean actually you had conversations after he died, as if he would be in the room or in your mind? Or
yes, yes, it was somehow the place also where I felt safe because I didn't feel
Mm,
safe in this world
mm,
because of this, actually, because of the prenatal trauma. Because my mother was very overwhelmed, and 57 years ago, or almost 58 years ago, there was no crisis intervention team. There was no one helping her, helping a young woman highly pregnant.
mm.
And so she was alone and didn't know how to deal with it. And she was in shock. And this had a direct impact for me as a unborn.
Yeah.
And all what came, all experiences, everything what I had in life, and what was leading me lately then, or finally then, to become a breath worker and working with people, was a consequence of this very, very first trauma and experience, or actually death experience, because my mother wanted to die. She was not suicidal. She said she never would have done something, but she had this deep wish also to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably grief and overwhelm. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Up to the moment
Yeah.
I was born, then of course everything shifted.
Yeah. Yeah. And you, you just somehow unconsciously created is probably the wrong word, but escaped into, I guess, is it a world in your mind? Is that what it is, or did you actually see your dad in 3D?
Actually, I didn't see him, I felt him.
Yes.
I'm in this. I learned to see later, but mainly I sense presence, I sense beings, and I just knew he was there, and also in the dreams. So later on, I started dreaming. And then when I grew up in puberty, I had a phase where I started seeing faces really quite real, I would say, especially when it was dark, which caused a lot of fear. And I was lucky not to end up in a psychiatric clinic because I saw all these things and I told my mother, and she believed me. She wasn't like, "Oh my God, you're going crazy and we have to do something." She just said, "I'm sorry, I cannot support you in this. I cannot guide you. I don't know what this is." So I was quite alone with these also voices I heard, and this all this together was then a bit much and led to depressions, very deep depressions.
Right.
And
Early on in your teenage years already?
yes, yes. So
Mm.
it was 17, 18, it started. And then I did my first psychotherapies, and which didn't really help. And then when I got married when I was 24, and was then quite soon a mother of two boys. And in the second pregnancy, the depressions came back very badly. And then I knew I had to do something because there was no option anymore of I'm just ending it or taking the escape door of this life. So I had then I was very lucky. I had a very good doctor, and his wife and himself, they were breathwork practitioners and breathwork trainers. And this was
Wow.
already in 1997 when I started to do my first breathwork therapy sessions myself.
Hmm.
And I have to say, breathwork healed my depression. Even
Yeah.
though all psychiatrists or psychotherapists I saw before, they said you need to learn to live with it. This is not, you cannot cure it. You will need to take antidepressants. And I have to say, I never took one.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
never took antidepressant, and it was really the breath work what helped me over years. It was a long path, but it was worth it.
Yeah. So you're saying it
Mm.
wasn't only that you were managing your depression, you actually got gradually better?
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
got better and better, and in one point I got out, and now I have sometimes depressed states, like everyone can have, but it's not a depression anymore, not at all.
Yeah. 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 How often would you have had sessions back then to really, change your trajectory, if you like?
It started actually with once a month
Yeah.
or two times a month, and then it was over 6 years. No,
Really?
wait a moment, 4 years, 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was so far out, and then I had this. It was really interesting. I had kind of a vision when people told me about their state or what they are going through. It was like behind them, I had like almost a movie seeing what caused the state. So it was not literally, but it's not easy to find the right words and to describe. But
Yeah.
somehow I felt, okay, this is the cause for your or this is the bigger picture of your situation now. And then all of a sudden it came to me, obviously there was a reason for all the bad things, let's say, in my life, or the difficult things in my life I was going through. And maybe the reason was that I needed to go through this in order to help others and to
Right.
support others to go through these
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
And
I
that
relate to
was
that.
then,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that was then the moment where I decided to become a breathwork trainer myself.
Gotcha. Amazing. So
Yeah.
basically, people talked about the current issue they had, but you had an, as you said, a movie or somehow like an actual information coming to you that
Yeah.
relate to where it comes from. So almost like an intuition of like, is there anything going on in your childhood, or is there anything going on with your partner way back that sort of
Yeah.
derailed you? That type of insight?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah. And of course, then my healing path continued, because during the training, it's not just you go there, you hear about breath work, and then you know what to do. This is, I would say, 70-80% experiential.
Yeah.
The theory is background information, but the real work and the real learning is about doing and going through all this yourself, being willing to look on really deep down into your shadow path to discover what's hidden there, to discover your hidden patterns, your programs, your attitudes, your thoughts, your wounds, everything.
Why do you think that breath work, and for the people who don't know what breath work is, there are many different modalities, but overall it's a particular intentional rhythm of breathing and
Yeah.
you know, there are many different types. But why do you think breath work in particular unlocks or gives you access to these insights, these past memories, these emotions that otherwise are blocked or just kept out unconsciously or consciously?
Yeah, so when we talk about breath work, and I would like to first explain a little bit. So there is
Sure.
from pure breathing exercising, like expanding your chest, expanding your belly, learning to move your, or to breathe in different ways, over regulation breath work, to regulate your nervous system down, to balance your nervous system, and to do exercises like pranayama from the yoga tradition. These are also very particular exercises for different with different intentions. And then you go to conscious connected breathing in a very active way, and this can go up to or into process work, that through the active breathing, actually you bring yourself consciously into a stress response. And so in this stress state, and then you have this stress response, which is natural. And then when you are guided through this, then you can go further, because normally when we have a stress response, it's either fight, flight, or freeze. And very often, especially in childhood, we go in a certain movement, we go in a certain expression, and this is interrupted then.
Gotcha.
Because we needed to shut up, or we didn't have the support to go through this, or we didn't feel safe enough, or out of any reasons. And in breath work, what we do is we close this cycle. So because of the breathing, of the stress that actually this active conscious connected breath work is causing, in a very controlled way, I would say, you get access to these suppressed emotions, to these suppressed energies, and then you have the chance to either witness it or express it in a guided way.
Gotcha. So for me, the way, and I'll let you continue afterwards, is basically things happen in your life, and your conscious or subconscious mind just decides to keep that out of sight. And as you go through a breathwork session, a little bit or a lot of this comes into more the processing back into the consciousness. And once it is, the mind knows again that it's there, then you can work on it, you can think about it, or you can just release it, and therefore one less thing that is suppressed, right? Is that sort of
Actually,
how?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is more or less, it is not easy to describe. Actually, I
Yeah.
always say, if you really want to know what it is doing, just do a breathwork session.
Yes. Just experience it. That's right.
Just experience it, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, when we are doing this kind of breath work, we go in an altered state of consciousness as well. And
Mm.
it's like this narrow path between consciousness and unconsciousness or subconsciousness opens a little bit more, so you get access. And it's not about the story what happened, and that's the thing, we don't even need to know what exactly happened, what caused the trauma or what caused this tension or this suppressed emotion, because the body, it is like a cell memory. And through the breath work, the body releases this memory out of the cells, and then it can be released, and then it doesn't have any impact anymore. And it's not that we change the past when we do breath work, because we cannot change the past. We cannot
Mm.
change what happened, but we can change the impact it has in our daily life and in how we
I think
feel.
I think that's a really important point. And, I would say the Western world in particular lives a lot in the logical mind. So as you go through a breathwork session and something comes up, say like, oh, I felt abandoned as a child, let's say.
Mm.
Um, I think the mind wants to understand why and what exactly exists. And what I've learned through my journey is that it's not so much about figuring out why this happened and why this affects you the way, but acknowledging that this feeling is real and that this is how you feel, and making peace with that on the emotional level. And that's all that happens, that is required. However, people try to keep understanding and going back to that over and over, which is sort of like re-traumatizing yourself. I've heard this question. So this happened in the past, but you still feel the pain. So who is doing it to you right now? And that's a bit of a loaded way to say it, but the point is, you can make a decision to just feel it and to let it go. It's not easy, and people would probably say it's not always possible, but I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that, but I believe it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you say, the first step is recognizing. The first step is, okay, that's how it is. The
Mm.
first step is acknowledging, being honest to yourself,
Mm.
and not fix it to make it good somehow. To
Mm.
acknowledge it was painful, I am wounded, I am insecure, I feel abandoned or whatever. And then to do to get a choice. Because the thing is, when we are especially in a situation where it is highly stressful, and I don't even talk about trauma, it doesn't need to be a trauma, but it is when it is a high stressful situation, we go back to certain strategies that we developed mainly in the early childhood that secured our survival. That's why the stress response is also called a survival mechanism.
Mm.
And for the mind or for the system, it doesn't matter if it's a real life threat or if it is just perceived as a life threat.
Yes.
And the thing with breathwork is, first of all, what you said, the conscious mind or the controlling mind doesn't have a chance. We bypass the controlling mind. And the other thing is that we, how to say, that we learn to sense in order to think, instead of thinking. To sensing, we get reconnected to our body, because in our society we are mainly like cut off here. There is
Yeah.
the head and there is the body, and there is very often no connection. And this
Yeah.
is what breathwork is doing. Breathwork is bringing us back into connection with our body. And what it is also doing, in a good guided session, you get choices. You learn different movements. And then in a similar situation where we normally react in a certain way, we learn to respond, to choose. Okay, now I'm not shutting down. Now I choose to stay relaxed and to receive and to sense what's going on inside of me. And it has a
Yeah.
different impact then. And the freedom of getting choice in certain situations. This is one of the goals, and what I saw over and over and over again in the last 26 years since I'm working with people, that in the moment people get a choice, their life quality increases immensely,
Hmm. Yeah.
because
Beautiful.
they don't feel as victims of life anymore. They get in their creative, or in their creator and creatress energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in a really practical sense, if you see people that, that might, you know, might use drugs or, alcohol or particular behavior to cope with their pain. I think if let's say, normally some people remember something that happened in the past that really got them, that really makes them feel really, really bad, and they might drink to forget.
Mhm.
And that's a coping mechanism, but it's not particularly sustainable or the really helpful way to go about it. And if you think about it, having a breathwork session, being conscious about recognizing that there is something really tangible, that you really feel what the feeling is that you struggle with. And then, to your point, starting, instead of saying, oh, I can feel this now I drink alcohol, I can feel this now, I'm not particularly comfortable, but I'm okay with feeling this now, is to me one of those steps to actually be with it and integrate it again. And I think as you can do that and not numb it and not try to push it away, it dissolves itself, or it can dissolve itself that way too. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There is this quote. This says, "Healing through accepting,
Hmm.
healing through
Yeah.
acknowledging,"
Yeah.
because this is already the first and biggest step. And sometimes it depends. Some people need to do really baby steps, and it can be that when you work with people who experienced a really strong trauma, it can take a year or 2 years before you even can do a full breathwork session.
Yeah.
First, they need to learn to regulate and to feel safe enough.
Yeah.
And safety is number one. When someone doesn't feel safe enough, and this is what I learned, I was also in this idea like, okay, I need to feel fully safe. And I realized for myself, there are very, very little places in this world where I feel fully safe. But to get to a point that I feel safe enough, that this is enough, it doesn't have to be 100%, 80% might be enough. This was so, yeah, this made it so much easier then
Mm.
to allow to dive in. And when I work with people and I say, it's enough when you feel safe enough. You don't need to feel 100% safe, because the aim to have to feel 100% safe in this world might be too much for some people, because when someone is so highly traumatized, this probably never will be that they feel 100% safe. But safe enough to have a good life is great. And safe enough to dive in and to feel safe enough with themselves and in themselves, most of all. This can change a lot in their life.
So how do you use shamanic work then connected to breath? So breath, I believe we sort of like talked about now and explained how you get to your traumas and, you know, feel better about the world and you know, overcome traumas. But how does the shamanic work fit into what you do?
So actually, the shamanic work is was for a long time for me. So there was breathwork and there was shamanic work. So I didn't get the link, even though there was always the link.
Yeah.
Because in the shamanic work, what I do in a ritual is also to change the field, to change the consciousness, and to create safety and a field of healing connected with the other world, the so-called other world,
Yeah.
with my spiritual helpers or with my other world helpers. And in the shamanic world, it is that everything is a being, has a soul, is alive. So that means when I look at symptoms, for example, then I look at them as an alive being. And then I can say, okay, what do you need in order to disappear? Or what information do you have for this person? So the shamanic view goes into that everything what happens in your life has a reason. No matter how hard or how painful or how horrible it is, it has a reason. It has a message. And also using breath work to open the door to the other world. And what I heard just a few years ago, it was Bo Wallström. He is a Swedish breathworker, and I have to say he's really an elder in the breathwork world. He was one of the co-founders of the IBF back then, and so he's just an incredible man. And he said shamans were the first breathworkers. And this was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's right. Actually, it's true, because they all used breathwork in their rituals in order to get into a different state of consciousness themselves, and also to bring their clients or the people they're working with into an altered state of consciousness. And the strongest breathwork method to get in this altered state is, for example, holotropic breathwork, holotropic breathing. There is this is a method that works with music, specific kind of music, and with a really high activated breathing over a long time. And you can have this actually the same or very similar experiences as taking psychoactive plants.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, and so this is somehow, yeah, of course, breathwork is or was always a main tool also for shamans or for people who work with shamanic practices.
Would you agree that, I guess, people throughout the ages have had their traumas, their issues, their challenges? As I said before, like our world at the moment is particularly logic, which is only part of our personality or of a human makeup. And what my theory when it comes to the, you know, the spread of breath work and the interest globally in that is that people sense either the sense there is more to it, and, you know, I'm not just my thoughts and I'm not just my logical mind, but I also believe that there's a saying, it's the best of times and worst of times. And I know that many people don't cope with the world that we have created long term, because it's just basically work, consume certain things in your private time, like, watch television, be fairly numb, and not participate emotionally or spiritually in the world as well, just the logical one. And the issues that are coming are of such magnitude, and you just watch the different mental illnesses that exist now that previously haven't even been reported, not on a large scale, that people seek out new modalities or old modalities to actually to improve their life, because the life that we can access with our logical mind is just not enough for us, and we know that intuitively. So I was just wondering, would you agree that this is sort of one reason why breathwork is becoming so popular?
Yes. So out of two reasons, I guess one thing is people seek reconnection to themselves, to the essence that they are, to get reconnected to their bodies, to get reconnected to Mother Nature, because through breath we are connected with Mother Nature. We all breathe the same air, and it's all the so breathing is the element of being alive. And through breath work you feel more alive, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And
You can't think yourself into an altered state, right?
no, not really. And the other thing what I witness now is actually the other side of breath work, and that's that breath work can be used to improve your ability to perform.
Big time.
And so a lot of people use breath work not so much to heal or to get reconnected, to slow down, because this is a part of healing. We need to slow down. But breath work can also be used to increase your performance, to get faster, to get bigger, higher, whatever, better.
Yeah.
Until your body tells you, okay, now it's enough.
Right.
And this comes. And then you can use the same tool to heal and to deal with this change of your life, what your body asks you. And yeah, the popularity of breath work now is, of course, and I cannot say what is pulling people more. It depends. One thing is clear: people are seeking, people are looking for something. People know that there is more. And and that's why you have so many different methods and tools, and that's the good thing. Even though I see certain movements in the breathwork world very, how to say, critical.
Yeah, and the IBF, that's the International Breathwork Foundation. Yeah, sets certain standards, right? Because I think there are also individuals that don't do that, particularly ethically. But I don't know if that's what you refer to, or just in general the technique is misused in a way that doesn't really help.
Yes. So what I see is that there are a lot of people offering breathwork trainings in 3 weekends online, which is not possible. You cannot train someone to guide people with breathwork in 3 weekends online.
Yeah.
Not in a good quality. So the board who is actually setting the standards and also certifying standards is the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance, which is very close. They work very close with the IBF. And what we try in these organizations is to set standards that people can find breath workers who have a good training.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I guess in New Zealand and also in Australia, I'm not sure that breathwork is recognized as a profession, but in the most countries, breathwork is not recognized. It's something what people do, what people are allowed to do or not allowed to do, and so it's a gray zone. It's a really gray zone, and that's the problem.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, and I know also that on national levels that there are more and more associations coming who try to set standards and list people who have a good training. And the
Yeah.
same is with shamanism. You know, a few years ago, everything what had the word shaman or shamanism in was a bestseller, let's say.
Right.
Like again, years before, when everything was about yoga, then
Right.
everyone became a yoga teacher all of a sudden. And these are these hypes. And now we have the hype around breathwork. And what we also have is the hype around cold water. And uh, and we,
Let's talk
yeah,
about that. Yes.
yes. So this is now everyone is going ice bathing and swimming in cold lakes and these things, you know,
Mm.
which is also very old. People in
Yeah.
Siberia do this since I don't know how long, since forever. And it was so somehow very old natural tools get now in the consciousness of people. And of course, then you have those who know, okay, there is good money behind, which is not nothing bad to earn money with these things.
Yeah.
For me, it's important, and this is really what I learned in all those years. It is a responsibility you have when you work with
Mm.
these tools. You have a responsibility towards the people you guide, and uh, and that's very important to be conscious of.
Yeah.
Of, of of course,
I think.
the end responsibility is with the people, and this is why I love breathwork and why I love all these different modalities of breathwork so much. And because what I do when people come to me to a session,
Yeah.
then I give them tools they can do at home,
Mm-hmm.
because it's important to put the people back on their own feet, to make them independent,
Yeah.
to bring them in their self-response and in a self-determined life.
Yeah. I think the way that I'd navigate this space, because if you, to me, you know, shamanism is a really sort of a really honorable sort of title, and you know, it comes with, I believe, um, history, ethics, a long lineage of knowledge of how things are done, and you know, and breathwork also sounds like, you know, this is something that you really have to understand before you do it. The reality is it's not always like that, and so the label doesn't do the content justice, and so the way that I navigate that is just that I normally ask for recommendations, that, you know, people who have worked with a practitioner for a longer time, so that I know that, you know, they definitely trust them. There are other ways to do that in terms of looking that they are registered when it comes to breath work, but it's not always possible to have a registered shaman, or I don't know if it ever is, but there's certainly that, you know, word of mouth or personal recommendations that I go, rather than a person that you don't know at all. I found that on the risky side for sure, because
Yes,
this is deep work that really can, you know, affect your psyche
it
quite
it
strongly.
can be very, very deep. Absolutely, absolutely. And
Mm.
even the simplest breath work or breathing exercises can go so deep. And also a simple drum trance, when you just under brackets relax and someone is playing the drum in a certain rhythm, it can go so deep. And this is also how I combine my shamanic practice with the breath work, that I use drums, that I use rattles, that I use different of these tools to create this field, and
Mhm.
also ritual. So for
Yeah.
me, a breathwork session is a ritual.
Uh-huh.
At the
Yes.
end, for me, everything I'm doing is somehow a ritual or is
Mhm.
ceremonial. And and this is how it weaves in my practice.
Yeah, yeah. When you look, a little bit broader at life and at your client's life, like when you come across their crises, you mentioned before we went online, you mentioned to me you have a particular take on crisis. Can you talk a little bit about what you think the meaning is and how to handle it?
Can you can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
repeat the
I mean,
question
like I
one
think
more?
what you said is that crisis is is a gateway to to evolve and I guess it's an opportunity rather than a problem to overcome,
Yeah.
and it really
Mhm,
can give
mhm,
you immense growth. So there's a real
mhm,
blessing in everything that
mhm,
seems hard and terrible.
mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is something what I experienced myself. This was in the moment I could see it as a blessing, and it is a change of attitude.
Aha.
It is a change of inner attitude. What was in my case the shift from being in a depression to getting out of it,
Hmm.
and not just to put it aside or to suppress it, but to really and handle it somehow, but to really have it healed. And I'm not saying in general you can heal depression with breath work, because I don't know if this is possible for someone else. I just
Mm.
can say it happened with me, and I saw it in different cases as well, that
Hmm.
that it got much better. And a big shift is how you see things.
Hmm.
And when you see things as a problem, then it is a problem. When you see things as a chance, then it is a chance.
Hmm.
So this is the mindset in all this. And breathwork can really help with it, to get
Hmm.
out of the victimhood,
Mm.
to get out of, oh my God, it's the fault of all the others because I feel so helpless. Very often we have this attitude that everything is horrible or a problem, or life is horrible to us, or people are horrible, or because of my parents did this or that, I feel now like this and that. This is helplessness.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
breath work can guide you out of this helplessness. It
Mm.
can guide you into this in your self-empowerment.
I
And
see.
this is then mainly the shift.
Yeah. And
And
do you see that a lot? That people come as a victim, and at the moment where they accept or embrace what has happened to them, or the way that they see things, if they embrace that as something positive, or at least accept it, that they are making the shift towards, I guess, overcoming it.
yes, yes, I see it. I saw it quite often, and it is always a blessing. It's always so deeply touching when people realize, oh my God, I have it in my hands, or I feel so much better. And when you see what they change in their lives, then some people change their life completely,
Hmm.
and and get get this courage to say, okay, actually, I'm not happy in this relationship or in this job or in how I live my life, and then
Yeah,
they do the changes.
yeah. So taking ownership really at the moment where you
Yeah,
feel strong enough, because I believe
yeah,
people might come to you completely devastated and don't have
yeah,
that
yeah,
that strength yet, but as a path, eventually you get to the point where you actually embrace the
yeah,
breakup or the
yeah,
the loss or whatever. Yeah.
yes. And sometimes it's even dishonesty to say, actually, I'm not happy in this job, but I don't dare to quit. or I
Mm-hmm.
don't risk to quit it now. And this is already a shift, because when I say I'm not happy, but I stay anyway because of this or that reasons, it is a different quality than telling myself, actually, no, it's okay and it's fine anyway. And because then you lie to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No,
in the moment you get honest to yourself, this is also a very big shift.
yeah.
Mm.
How long does such work take? I mean, it probably depends on the individual, but like if I really want to shift something, let's say I lost a loved one, how can I not feel that the world is against me and I'm just unlucky all the time versus seeing that as a positive thing? How would you start working with this subject like that?
Um, it is very individual. It is
Yeah.
really, really individual. It can be
Yeah.
that one session is enough, and it can
Wow.
be that it takes 1, 2, 3 years.
Yeah. And I guess sort of reading into sort of your skills of also seeing or gift to see people's past or see
Mhm.
people's whatever they talk to you about, and you see the
Yeah.
movie behind them of that of course would give you angles and
Mm.
directions to in your
Yeah.
therapy, right? Yeah.
But the main thing is the willingness of the people. If someone really wants to do this shift, then it goes quite quick.
Yeah.
Some people somehow want because they don't feel comfortable in their life anymore. But on the other hand, a part of them doesn't want, really wants to stay in
Yeah.
the old. And
Yeah.
this is the tricky thing, to convince this part what wants to stay in the old system that it is fine. In my experience, um, what I observed in my life, in my private life, in my practice, everyone gets to this point where they have to do the shift. Either they do it willingly or they get it from life.
Yeah.
and 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 at the end it's a lifelong journey.
Yeah. I look forward to more of this knowledge becoming just common and people understand it, and some of these particular points in life, like let's say from a girl to become a woman, when when certain hormones come in, or the particular point when they have the first period, that's a point where other cultures, or back in the days, I would say, like you would celebrate that, and you would celebrate that as a rite of passage, and saying now things are different, and this is what you can expect. And normally other women would explain, or would really
Mhm.
set it up for the next phase of life. And I I hope that it will come back, that we see life like that, and use the knowledge of the tribe, if you like, and of the past to say, and now you're a man, and now you're married, and that changes from when not married, or
Mhm.
here's a protocol because you have lost someone loved one. This is the way that don't go just back to work and pretend nothing has happened. Take your time to mourn, or whatever it might be, or do much more breath sessions than normal, or whatever it is. And I hope that as a collective, remember that we have all these tools in these points of life,
Mhm.
and use them, because I think we could, I think it would do society a lot of good. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. When we have this, especially these key points, when we don't see a change, yeah, and there we are back with this attitude that when a young girl starts bleeding, not to see it as, oh my God, you poor one, now you also have it, but
Gee,
because very often it happens like that. and
really?
and yeah, yeah, and now instead of celebrating it and preparing, and this is, we have in our especially in the industrial countries, we have so many taboo topics. We don't talk about death, we don't talk about period, we don't talk about
Yeah.
a lot of things. And this is what we are missing out. And very often in these kinds of sessions it can be named, it can be
Yeah.
experienced, and it
Yeah.
it it's like, okay, I'm a human again. I had a very, very nice colleague, and he also came to a part of our training already. He was in the military, and he said breath work made him human again.
Yeah.
Because the breath is something what makes us human. And this is something we always have with us, and the breath will never turn against you. The breath will always support you.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, the breath is the only system in our body what goes autonomic. Thanks God that we breathe automatically. And we can influence it willingly. We don't have any other systems in our body like that. And that's the magic of the breathing.
Super powerful. Two comments on that. So post-traumatic stress syndrome happens, of course, not only when you go into war, but also if, whatever, like you had a really big project on work and it really burned you out or something like that. And I think just having that in the back of your mind, that if someone says you might have, that particular condition, to know that there are tools that are that are not just taking a pill and hoping for the best, but actually working actively on overcoming that, I think is great to know. And just when thinking, oh, something is off, to actually go to these types of modalities. I think it's really, really, really powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing is very important to say: there is no holy cow. So also breathwork is not the golden cow or a calf or the holy
Right.
calf or whatever.
Yeah.
It is never just one thing. It is also never just one reason or one cause. What turns them into certain symptoms or PTSD or whatever. There is always many levels, many things involved, and also in the healing. So it's not breathwork alone that can do the change. It is a lot of things what come together, and I'm really, really, for me, it's important to say, let's do it together. Because there is nothing wrong by taking a pill if it's necessary, and doing breath work. Because we have the school medicine, we have the science, we have everything. We can use it for the good, but it's also not just that. It is always together. Let's do it together. Also, a lot of people come to breathwork sessions and do psychotherapy and do other therapies. And very often it's like in a good soup. When you only pour water in, then you don't get a good soup. You need a lot of herbs and ingredients to get a really good and strong soup.
So you mean the mix of trying different things and see, if the mixture together, it gets you through that, is what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes it's one after the other that people try, and sometimes or do. I don't like the word try, because you don't try breathwork. You do it or you don't do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have the shift during breathwork, and then they come like, oh my God, I did so much before. I should have come to you immediately. And then I say, no, because you did all this before, it could shift now. And sometimes sessions with breathwork is this in between, and then they go somewhere else, and then they have this shift. Or some people do some certain things parallel.
Yeah, makes sense. Actually, I want to just touch on another thing you said, and that's the breath, because it's always with us, right? And I found it's so understated that the breath is also a window of your nervous system, right? So if something, if you're in an uncomfortable situation and you just feel something's not quite right, if you then look at your breath, often the breath is really shallow, or you hold your breath and it's not natural. And the amazing thing to me is, it's an indicator. So you see what's going in by looking happening internally by looking at your breath, but then it goes also the other way. If you then consciously decide to breathe differently and say, I take a deep relaxed breath anyway, I take another one, and so on, you then change your attitude towards what's going on in your life right now as well, and you relax again, and your whole nervous system comes down. I think it's powerful. It's almost like a button. If you say, I want a different state, I don't like to feel this stressed, breath can either temporarily get you there or quite a way. And if you do it right, if you get it right for you, it really changes your state. And I found it's so understated how powerful this can be, especially in stressful situations and conflict and that type of thing, and grief. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you said something, and this is, I once heard, I was working with a group of technicians, and this is the most interesting audience you can have for a breathwork, for a breathwork session.
Because they're very logical.
They are so logical and they are so rigid, and it was really funny. And of course, then me coming in as a European shaman doing breath work with all this, and it was very interesting because actually I studied on the technical university myself, so I also come from techniques, from informatic back then 40 years ago. So somehow I knew the language, what they are speaking.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting. So I did simple exercises, letting them breathing in the chest, letting them breathing in the belly and on the side. And this was enough for them. And then one looked at me with big eyes and said, I didn't know that you can breathe willingly as well. It was completely new for this person that he could influence his breathing with willingly.
Yeah.
And this was a big shift for that person, and that's the thing. And this is, and then there I'm going back to what I said before, that it's important to have a choice. The reaction of the breath in a stress situation is a reaction that your system sees as the most effective in order to survive.
Yeah.
And when you learn in sessions to get a choice, then you can do what you just described, that you don't hold your breath in stressful situations, but that you take a deep breath or you take a long exhale or these things. But before you can do that, you need to be aware of your body. And in order to get aware of your body, you need this exercising. That's why I always say do regulative breath work without having stress. Practice it. Because when you don't practice it without crisis, you will not remember in a crisis.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So simple, so powerful, but so
Absolutely. Yeah.
hard to grasp how important it is.
Yeah. Actually, life is simple. Therefore, we have our mind to make it complicated.
Very good. Yes. Yeah, I'm with you there. And if you look at sort of the people you are in touch with that come to you, what are really common issues that you see? Is there other topics, common topics that you see working really, really well with breath work, or that people seek out? The reason why I ask that is that I believe people sometimes need to hear that, you can use breath work for X to get over that. And so I was just wondering what's quite a common reason to come to you.
It's a big range. It's a really big range. So a lot of people come because they are somehow don't feel good in their life anymore. It's like, actually, I have everything. I have a job, I have a husband, but somehow I'm not happy. I miss something.
Yes.
This is something what comes quite often. And other group of people is, okay, I have this problem or I have this pain and the doctors don't find anything.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
where they don't get any help with school medicine or with psychotherapists. I did psychotherapy for so long, and I'm not getting any further with it.
Yeah. Okay.
So very often when they need something added to it, and personal growth as well.
So saying life is not an, I want to know more. I want to experience more. That type of thing.
Yes, yes, and I want to get in my self-empowerment. I want to live happier. I want to have a higher life quality, actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense too.
and more now, and this is a shift what I see in society, that people come also for how to say, health prevention.
Yeah.
So to stay healthy
Beautiful.
and to get more resilience, because to get a bigger resilience, it this results in a more healthy life.
Yeah, I quickly want to comment on both of those things, because I think this is absolutely, it's so amazing that, you know, when you talk about resilience, I have a couple of mentors that, would talk about, let's say, quite rational topics like financial stress in an organization, for example. And their first tip is not do this or that to your investments, to your profits, whatever, like talk about that business language. They would say, look after yourself first, and make sure that you are emotionally really solid, that you can take mental stress, and it doesn't do anything negatively to you. So um, the way that I read that is that life always changes, and sometimes to the better, and sometimes there are challenges that come our way. But as we are more resilient, these challenges can be, well, transformed into something positive much easier. So having this resilience, to me, is a great way to make sure that life is more, and that life is, yeah, a pleasure to be alive, I guess, and to live.
Yes, yes, because people feel safe, more safe in within themselves and with themselves.
Hmm.
And as you said, life is changing. This is the only constant part in life is change.
Yeah.
And the idea that we can control something
Yeah.
is I would say the um, now I'm looking for the right word, is the biggest illusion we have, because actually we
Gotcha.
cannot control anything except of how we react or we respond to certain things in life, or how we deal with the things. So it
Yes.
doesn't matter what comes your way, what happens.
Hmm.
What matters is how do you handle it? How are you
Hmm.
dealing with these things? And there you can make the change, because this is in your control.
Mm.
And also only when you're aware of it. As long as it is an unconscious pattern, it's also out of your control.
Yeah.
And this is what breathwork can do, to bring it into your consciousness and then to change it. And then uh, it's getting under your control, your
Yeah.
responses, because then it's not a reaction anymore. Then it's not an automatism anymore. And this is the big
Yeah.
shift. And what you said about getting in a resilience and stronger, this is also what I see that more and more companies are doing, that they
Right.
really take care of their employees. Because and this is also what I guess, there are certain studies that people or who do breath work or who do these, and it doesn't have to be just breath work, it can be yoga, it can be tai chi, qigong, which all includes breathing. You cannot do any of these things without breathing.
Yeah.
And that they are healthier, that they can deal with stress or with situations of crisis much better. And the thing why is it's the comfort zone. Because when we do active breathing in a breathwork session, we bring people out of their comfort zone. And when you train it, and when you go, and this is then the growth zone, you cannot grow in your comfort zone, or just very, very little. And when you go consciously out of your comfort zone, then you can train yourself. How am I dealing with this? And the thing is that the comfort zone gets bigger and the growth zone gets bigger, and the stress zone starts much later. That means it's not just resilience, it's also resistance that increases.
Okay.
That means you get much later into stress.
Resistance against stress. Yes, that makes sense too.
Because resilience is more like, okay, I get out of a crisis situation stronger than before.
Yeah.
And resistance is, I'm not getting in that fast anymore.
Yeah. I do remember a year where I meditated a particular, well, it was really breath work that I did twice a day for an hour each. So 2 hours per day. It was before kids. And it was great. I remember that certain things came my way that were challenging and that were conflict situations, whatever have you. But it never felt like that in that time because, as you said, like the resistance to actually get into that spin of feeling overwhelmed or feeling really negatively impacted was really, really high. And I always remember that feeling and that feeling of being so resilient as well. It's it's absolutely beautiful. Hey, I would love to just change topic a little bit because you were also mentioning ice bath, and our company actually creates a really high-end ice bath, and I got into it because I could see the relevance for certain situations. I guess for me, one time I used ice baths. Where I started to use it really regularly was when we had our I think child number 5 came along, and I had forgotten that that's quite an insulated sort of state for the mother. So I felt fairly alone and just really down. And that's about 3 years ago now. And so what I decided to do is have an ice bath every night or whenever I felt not great. And it wasn't particularly cold. It was 9 degrees, 8 degrees, something like that. And I would stay in there for 5 to 10 minutes. And it was great. It became that tool that just gave me an uplift and so on. First of all, just really, really direct. Why did that do that to me? Why did it help me so much to feel better about life? And got me through quite an isolated sort of state where I guess I wasn't with my partner as much because she was quite busy with the baby, and I was with the rest of the kids basically.
And when clients ask me this question, what I do?
What do
I
you
ask
do?
back, what do you think? Why it did it to you?
Well, that's to me, it got me into my body. I wasn't thinking too much about what's happening and why why I feel a little bit disconnected from the mother and the baby, and so it got me out of my head of thinking through all of that and just say, well, I'm here now. This is a real moment. I always say that ice baths really gets you into the moment. You basically, your body says like, this is not comfortable, I don't like it, get me out of here. And because it consumes all your thoughts, it stops distracting you with thoughts of like, oh, I wonder why I'm in such a miserable state. I wonder why why things are not working out for me at the moment. It's just like, I'm just here. And just that break from doubt, from feeling not so good alone was great. But then of course rational mind would also know that certain hormones get released and prohibited to happen in an ice bath, and therefore I actually uplift also my whole chemistry, if you like, and my spirit that way. I'm certainly that would be my take if you would ask me. Yes. What do you think is happening?
And actually, it is like that. When you're in an ice bath, you are not thinking about any worries about the
Yeah,
future, about the past. You are right in the moment, and
yeah,
you need to have this focus. Otherwise, you cannot stay in a water of 8-9 degree for 10 minutes, five to
yeah,
10 minutes,
yes,
without being going into hypothermia.
yes,
And
which is the
this
body
is yes,
getting
this
too
is
cold. Yeah,
and it's really this focus. The focus what helps your body staying, let's say, warm, or staying or don't getting into this hypothermia, which means that your organs get too cold, and then this can be life threatening. And it's interesting that the mind can do that. And
right.
of course, why you feel, and actually 5 to 10 minutes, it's not even necessary. This is what research said, that 2 minutes is enough that you have the full effect.
Wow.
And it's mainly the noradrenaline or the and the dopamine that gets
Hmm.
released in a very high percentage. And this is what they found out. And that's why you feel you have this high after very
Yeah,
often. But I want to say, in this is also something you need to train your body when you never did it before. Some people can do it just like that, but most of the people really need to learn this step by step, to start with cool showers, then cold showers, then maybe going in cold water, like 14-15 degree, and then slowly, and maybe just half an hour, not half an hour, half a minute first, or a few seconds. And so do it step by step, because otherwise it can be again extra shock, or overstress your body, and then it's not healthy.
yes, yeah.
So yeah.
How do you use ice bath, like with clients? Is that something that you include in the modalities sometimes, or breath work in ice bath, rebirth in ice bath, that type of thing?
Yes, so I do this mainly in groups. I have it every now and then that I guide someone individually, but mainly I do it in groups.
Mm.
And the cold water rebirthing or cold water breathing I'm doing now is something what it's not so much advisable to do alone. You need someone guiding you, because you go into the cold water very slow. This is because when we have the Wim Hof method, what is very popular, and what we know, that there is the breathing first, and then you go for 2 minutes in an ice bath, and you go in quite quick. In the cold water breathing or rebirthing, I go in much slower, sometimes really centimeter per centimeter, and sometimes a bit quicker. It depends. What I always say, and that's why, because you have the original cold water rebirthing that is developed by Leonard Orr in the 70s. And this is really centimeter per centimeter while active breathing. That means it can take half an hour, 40 minutes until you are completely in.
Ah,
And what I do is I want the people to sense their own rhythm, the right rhythm of getting into the water.
hmm,
And this is one of the effects what I witnessed when I do it like that. They recognize the best rhythm also for their life, how they do, or how they move um, in situations of crisis or in stressful situations. Because a lot of people tend to either freeze completely or go very fast. And when you find your right rhythm to go into the cold water and also say, okay, up to the knees, it's enough. I don't want to do more now, and to stay with it. This can be a very profound experience for someone.
So
For
similar to breath,
example,
it would similar to what breath does. It sort of unearths emotions,
Mhm.
and therefore, as you do it consciously and very slowly, it's not just like a bang of experience, and
Yeah,
that way it's a real conscious, I guess,
yeah,
experience that is bodily, and therefore emotions are in the body held. You eventually uncover certain things that you might not be conscious about. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And cold water very often brings us back to birth trauma,
Hmm.
because this is the very first cold experience we have. Once we are born, when we are out of the body of our mother, it's cold.
Hmm.
For the baby, it's really cold.
Yeah.
And
Talk to me about that. How important is birth when it comes to, I guess, how we live our lives? Like, how much of an impact has our birth to, I guess, who we are, and how we take life?
I would say a big, 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 big impact.
I
It
thought you would
is,
say that.
yeah, it is very, very important.
Yeah.
And what this is one thing, how we are born or how birth went. And
Yeah.
the next thing is how the mother or the caretakers or the people around dealt with what happened. In case, for example, very often it is said a cesarean is very traumatic for a baby, because it is, and also for the mother very often, because it's missing certain parts of the birth. But I also experienced that it can be less traumatic for the baby if the baby is then taken care very, very well, and somehow even explained of what happened.
Mm.
And this can decrease the traumatic effect of a cesarean, for example.
Of a.
So of a cesarean, it's
Oh, yeah.
when yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and I would say, as birth is, yeah, our entrance into life, it says a lot about on how we especially how we deal with in moments of change, because this is the biggest change we go through.
Yeah. From a womb into the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and this is, and you can really really look at it, how a baby is born, and you can say very often a lot of the character as well.
So let's say birth was not ideal, or somehow the child didn't take it very well, and it is definitely a trauma that it has.
Mm.
How would they know that? And maybe that's something that you can unearth with shamanic work, and your intuition, as well as the client ones. And then how do you work with that? What on what eliminates sort of the negative impact on people's life? How can they work through that, and so that it doesn't affect them anymore?
So first of all, breath work.
Hmm.
Breathwork is, and this is how Leonard Orr actually brought breathwork into the Western world, because, and that's why he called it rebirthing, because
Yeah.
he, in experiment and experience, he healed his birth trauma through conscious connected breathing.
Mm.
And how to know, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we can ask our mother, and sometimes for the mother it was a normal birth, for the everyone around it was a normal birth, but the child experienced it as very traumatic, because
Mm.
something happened in the face of birth what no one recognized except of the
Hmm.
baby.
Mm.
So sometimes we just don't know, but the body knows.
Yeah.
And with the breath, we go back to the body memory.
Uh-huh.
And if it's needed, then it will come up. And
Okay.
what I like to do when there is particularly birth trauma is to breathe in warm water,
Uh-huh.
because warm water is 37 to 38 degree and you are held, and this brings you immediately back into the cell memory of being in the womb. And when you do then, so there I saw a lot of healing around birth. For example, someone was breathing and then guided by a man, and then was really held by this man like a newborn baby. And what this person said then was, oh my God, now I experienced my father being there, what I was missing so much. And just this experience healed a lot. And now she has a different access to men, for
Yeah, right.
example. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, powerful, so simple.
It is simple, yeah. And it is
Yeah.
beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I it is with a snorkel, doesn't it, as well? Like sometimes you really submerge yourself, including a
Yeah,
snorkel.
yeah. You can do it
I haven't done it
with
yet.
a snorkel, and you can do it also laying on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm.
Look, just out of curiosity, you also do firewalks.
Yes.
What, what, what is that about? Other than it must be a real thrill.
So, firewalk is, as you probably know, you walk over glowing coals. And there are different ways of doing firewalks. So, there are certain mind management trainers or mental trainers, or to they do firewalk in order to set a goal and to reach this, or
Hmm.
to also increase somehow performance.
Hmm.
I learned it the ritual way, because this is also a ritual what was done since forever, and a
Forever.
lot of cultures
Yeah.
are doing this. And for me, firewalk is an initiation. It's an initiation and transformation.
Uh-huh.
Because when you walk over glowing coals, and you can say, yeah, well, but there is this cool layer, and you know when you are going there and when you want to put your hand on, it's really, really hot.
Yeah.
And it is what the firewalk does is, when you go over this, it is a shift. It is a shift of, then you will not say this is impossible so often anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is cleaning, so it also cleans your energetical field and system, because fire cleans and cleanses and transforms. And it's also to face your fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that you have to be fearless to go over.
Yeah.
You can have fear. And what for me is the most important part of the firewalk, how I lead it, is to hear and sense the yes, the invitation. I
Mm-hmm.
always say it's not you deciding going over this curtain, not curtain, carpet of glowing coals. Uh, it is Grandfather Fire inviting you.
Right. So
And
physically, how is it like someone who is not in the right state of mind will burn themselves, right?
yes,
But someone who is in the right state of mind or breathes correctly or whatever you guide them to do, they don't burn themselves, right?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
How is that possible?
This is magic. This is actually, it's energy. When we know that physics or our body is mainly space and we are mainly energy, and it is, you change your energy. And some people lead it the way that you really imagine you go over cool moss or cool grass.
Mm.
I'm not doing that because I say actually it's nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm not walking over cool grass. I'm walking over really, really hot coals, and I can
Uh-huh.
burn.
Yeah.
And this is what I ask the people always. Do you think that you can burn or that it's burning,
Yeah.
this heat? And then they say yes. And they do it anyway.
Wow.
And it works anyway. And the most important, and I had people who didn't go over the coals. And I experienced it myself once, that when I was learning that and I assisted, that I felt, no, I don't have permission to go. And this was the strongest experience I ever
Mm.
had,
Not to go.
not to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really, when you go with your ego, then you get kisses from the grandfather. This is how I call I call it. But in all those years, and I experienced my first fire walk 2002, and I started leading it after 6 years of learning, so 2008. And I don't know how many already, and no one ever had to go to hospital.
Mm.
So it could be a little bit, some red spots, little bit of these small bladders. And very interesting is when you look on the foot reflexology map, that mainly you have something where you have weakness in the organs or in the body.
And that's where it hurts.
And that's where it hurts very often. Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh,
really,
fascinating. I'll have to come to
really
Austria.
fascinating. Yes,
Yes. Very
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah, and this is the fire. So I work with fire and ice. So
Yes.
and and because I'm also doing sweat lodges.
Mhm.
And this is also, sorry, my cat decided to go in the in the picture.
Before I let you go, because I know
Yeah,
it's late in Europe, actually talking about sweat lodges was just
yeah.
something that I remember. I mean, basically, just to explain it to people who haven't heard about it, American Indian would be one people who would have used it. It's basically a really small, confined sort of tent,
Mhm,
often made with leather, and that
mhm,
you can't really normally stand up. There's a fire in the middle. I'm sure there are many different ways of doing it. You go in, in a particular order. You get given water at times, but that's not up to you. And there are quite a few ritual happening.
mhm,
What I just wanted to say is that the it's similar to the colds. Like, you can really suffer walking over
mhm,
the colds, or it feels really, really cold, and not that, and it's not as much of an effort. And with I remember the switch that I had to make in my head, and that was, look, that's me probably being a Scorpio, being quite extreme, and basically saying, this is so hot in the sweat lodge. I cannot, I don't know if will survive this. This is really, 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 really uncomfortable. And so my mind was like, well, maybe I have to die. And maybe that's also okay. It's controversial. I wouldn't recommend, if your body says go out, of course go out. But for me, my journey was as such that I said, okay, like I accept my death. And
mhm.
being in there, and that really shifted a lot, and it was much more pleasant afterwards. I guess, I somehow reduced sort of like my need to survival at that moment. Or I don't know what it was, but it certainly became a much more meaningful experience after I made this decision. And yeah, it was still, yeah, it's an intense experience, right?
Yes, and absolutely that's it. Being willing to die, because this is letting go of control. It doesn't
Uh-huh.
mean that you physically die. And a sweat
Hmm.
lodge is you go in to die and get out newborn.
Ah, that's beautiful.
And this is, I always say, surrender is the key. If you go in
Yeah.
resistance, it gets painful. And it's the
Yeah.
same with the cold, it's the same with everything. Resistance builds up tension,
Yeah.
and tension makes it painful. It's the same with
Gotcha.
physical pain. When you when you have physical pain, no matter because you hit your knee, for example, or you something is injured, when you
Mm,
learn to relax into it, to breathe into it, to surrender, it gets less. It's the same with the
mm.
cold. It's the same with the heat, with sauna, because I know you also have saunas. So in a sauna, it's the same. A sauna can be much more effective when you surrender in it and when you slowly breathe with long exhale.
Yeah. How would you breathe? Can you talk a little bit more about how you would breathe in a sauna?
Through the nose, first of all.
Okay. Yeah.
I would actually, I recommend in general to breathe through the nose, except your nose is blocked. And
Sure.
except you have certain methods when you go to mouth breathing, but the normal breathing and our breathing organ is the nose.
And what
And
rhythm would you do in a sauna then?
in a slow and relaxed rhythm.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a sauna or also in the sweat lodge, I also extend the exhale, because the prolonged exhale calms down the nervous system, and this helps then to really relax into the heat.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Mm.
beautiful. Man, I wish you would have some guided meditations for in the sauna. That would be amazing.
Yes, I can do that. This is a new project I'm going to do this year, to record some meditations for different occasions. And yeah, of course, why not?
Beautiful.
Good
I
idea.
love that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Look, thank you so much for being on the Happy CEO podcast. It was really, really insightful. I really loved how much in depth we went with um, the different modalities that you work with. Just for people who want to know where to find more, you mentioned to me before we recorded your different websites. That would be the best one. One is neweda.at. So that's NEWEDA.at, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
then that's for individual sessions and group sessions that you facilitate. You can do that online with Krista as well. And then you also have wheeloflife.eu, which is for learning how to become a breath worker in a school
Yes.
environment online as well.
Yes.
So
This is
really
our
exciting.
breathwork training. Yeah.
Very cool. Is there any last words, Krista, that come to mind? Something that we haven't mentioned that you would like to quickly talk
Oh
about?
my God, there is so much. Actually, we could talk for days or weeks about this,
Yeah.
all these topics. And yeah, some last words. What I would really, really, yeah, what are the best last words for ending a conversation like this is enjoy life. Enjoy life. Take deep breath. Your breath is your best friend. It will carry you through everything, and allow yourself to have ease and lightness in your life, and enjoy the ride. It's
Love it.
yeah,
Krista, thank you
that's
so very
that's
much.
it.
I really appreciate your time you took with us, especially
Yeah,
as it gets late over there. And
thank
yeah,
you.
wishing you all the best and encourage everyone to look up Krista's work and yeah, stay curious and know there is a way to the next level for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm.